Welcome to the Creative Prayer Book. I'm Eric Scott, and thank you for joining me for lesson number 6. So today, in my little Stillman and Burn sketchbook, I'm going to be focusing on collage. I know we've done a little bit of collage before, but today I'm going to have a bit more of a focus. Last time it was more about some generic kind of things. This is going to be a little bit more focused, a little bit more specific with the collage. So let's kind of recap what I've been doing. So in case you haven't caught all the different lessons in this series. But like I said, I've been working in this little book. It's a Stillman and Burn landscape format, I think 3.5 by 5.5. And I've been slowly building up layers of materials. I'm trying to create a book of creative affirmations or quotes or prayers if you want. But for me, it is going to be about creative affirmation. So I've been using watercolor pencil, some ink, some collage, even some regular pencil in there. And then I went back last time with some Inktense pencils, which are a little bit different than watercolor pencils, and created another layer. So on this little spread, I have 5 different layers, and the same with this. So today what I want to do is to add some more collage. So I have a little bit in there with the newspaper and the book pages and the raffle tickets, but I want to do something a little bit more specific. I can really start to see spaces like this that have something collaged in them, or spaces like this, these little rectangles maybe, or these little rectangles. And that might be interesting, or it might be interesting to have pieces that come across. So that's what I want to focus on today, collage, or as I like to call it, fodder. So if you've ever paid attention to our website, the Journal Fodder Junkies, so my friend David and I are the Journal Fodder Junkies. Fodder is coarse, dry food for livestock, or at least that's the normal definition. But nowadays we really use it as this term for stuff. So for me, it's the food that gets glued into the journal that makes it kind of fat. So let me talk about the different kinds of fodder that I have. So I kind of have it placed around. So first and foremost, I have some kind of generic fodder. So I have a stack of magazines here, and I've gone through and I've pulled out some pages with images, because my book's small, so I'm not going to use these whole pages, but I might use parts of it. So I don't know which ones I'm going to use, so I've really pulled out a bunch of different ones with things that might be kind of interesting, that especially to cut out small parts of them. So I have a nice big stack of that. So that's the first type of fodder of collage materials I have. The second is a little bit more personal fodder. So things that are personally meaningful to me. So whether it's my house, or whether it's pictures of me, or pieces, postcards. So this is a piece of paper that a friend gave me that was in something, little bits and pieces of things, postcards. So all that kind of stuff that is more personal to me. That's going to give my pages a little bit more personality, a little bit of me into it. And the last one is some artwork, if I can pick it up. Actually, that's a postcard. So that kind of can go over here with the magazines. But these are little pieces of art. So I've drawn some topography type things before. So I had some of those. Just some little experiments, things that maybe I didn't finish, or maybe they were things that I didn't know what quite to do with them. So maybe they get worked in there somehow, or bits and pieces of them. So that has like a mark on it. So I might cut that up and use it. So I don't know how any of this is going to get used, but I do want to think about that. And that's what I want to focus on today, is how these are going to get used. Now you might notice up here, I already have a few things that are cut. So these are going to be perfect for this little book. So long skinny things can go across. Actually, I think I might just glue that right there. I kind of like how that looks there. So let me move this stuff out of the way. So collaging, just like I've done before, I've got my handy dandy Oohoo glue stick. Oohoo, it's my favorite brand, but use whatever you want. Sometimes when things are like real thick, like this postcard is very thick and glossy, and the glue stick is not gonna stick well to it. So I might want to use a different adhesive, but for most of what I have, the glue stick is going to be perfect. So just want to kind of remind you of my process. So I have just some scrap paper, and I've used this before, so it's all kind of stuck together. It's a blank cheapo sketchbook that I got for free somewhere. So magazine pictures are going to work perfectly with the Uhu. So I just always turn it upside down on top of my glue paper. Now this is blue, very, very dark blue, but it is going to dry perfectly clear. I do know that. And then I hold it down at one end, and then I spread the glue. And I really want to spread the glue so it covers the whole back. And the reason I'm doing it on the scrap paper is so that the glue can get on the paper, and I know that I've covered it all, and it's not going to get on my surface, or it's not going to get on my pages. Now, one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that when I'm ready, I can actually pick this up with my glue stick, and I don't have to try to peel it off of the glue paper. Okay, so this is just going to get glued on. Trying to be as straight as I can with it. And then really make sure it goes into that fold, into that crease in the middle. Okay, and really going to rub it down. Sometimes what I like to do is to, let me get these magazines out of the way, is to fold it and rub it, put some pressure on it. So you do want to take some time and put some pressure on it. A lot of times people will whack it, will hit it, and it's like, that's not really going to work that well. Okay, so I really like that horizontal, so I might look through there later and find some more. What I want to look at now is some of these spaces. Like there was that rectangle, like this rectangle, and then there was this one. So I want to try to cut something to fit in there. Now that's going to be a little difficult because all my stuff is sort of randomly sized. So you know, I have pieces like this, like that little piece might fit, might be a little small, but maybe it'll fit in that one. So I'll just go ahead and cut that out. This is from a postcard from an exhibit that I had with my friend Dave, and that's one of my pieces, one of my paintings. So that's going to make it very personal. And this is a postcard, but it's not super glossy, so the glue stick should work pretty well. So it's got an image of Dave's on the back. So that's definitely too small for that. Let's see about here. I think that actually it's not as, it doesn't fit it exactly, but I think that will work right there. So I kind of lucked out with that, that's going to work. So I'll do the same thing. I will flip over my collage piece on my paper. And this time I really want to make sure I get a lot of glue. Because this is thicker, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to glue in. So I carefully flip it over so you can see how I picked it back up with my glue stick. I'm going to position it. Because it is thicker and it is a little glossy, it's not super glossy, I want to rub it. I can, like I said, I can flip the page. Just make sure it's positioned exactly where I want it before I do anything. So maybe rub it a little bit now, and then flip the page, put some pressure, rub it a little bit. So since it is thicker, I might want to spend some extra time now really rubbing it. I could take something heavy and sit on top of it, excuse me, if I wasn't in a hurry. Okay, so just taking a little extra time to kind of rub it. And I put the glue on pretty thick, but hopefully a lot of it's not oozing out, which it really shouldn't, not with this glue stick. That's another nice thing about using glue stick, is that it doesn't really ooze out the sides. If you're using a liquid glue like the Elmer's glue all, then you can run into that problem of the glue like squeezing out and running all over the place. So that seems pretty stuck. If I come back in a little bit and it's kind of coming up, I can always put some more glue down on it. So let's see here. I really want to put something in there. So maybe a piece of artwork where I had these photos. I think one of these will work fine. So it's a matter of which one. I think I'll use this first one here. But it is going to be a little bit bigger. So that's kind of what I want to focus on now, is how do you use something that's a little bit bigger than you need. Okay, well, there's an easy way of doing it. So I could just glue it down and it would cover that, but then I'd get rid of that black line. Now some people will be like, well, why do you want to cover up that texture that's there? And it's like, well, just because, you know. So what I want to do is I want the face to kind of be in the middle. So I move it down a little bit so that I can see the sides. And then I'm going to take a pencil. So let me grab a pencil from over here. And I'm going to put 2 little marks. Now, I don't know, you probably can't see them, but I can. I don't know if this is going to be straight. So I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. So I raise it up and I can put a little mark. Maybe you'll see these a little bit better. Probably not. They're little tiny marks. So I have a mark here and a mark up here, and I'm going to basically cut between the two. If I wanted to, I could connect it with a ruler. But this hopefully will allow me to get it pretty much the correct thickness for it. And then, yeah, pretty close. So I got a little bit of space on either side, if I can maybe fill that in with some ink. I'm going to do the same thing. Get it in position. A little mark. So I'm just going to slide it over just a little bit so I can see where that inside of that black line is. Turn it and cut it. And then it should be almost perfect. So it is. It's narrower at the bottom than it is at the top. So it's a good thing that I cut it that way. And now I'll glue it in, and I'll have a little bit maybe I can fill in with the black ink pen later. Okay, but now I'm going to flip this over. Just the same thing. Now this was just a photocopy or a laser print. So it's on printer paper. So cover it up, pick it up with the glue stick, and stick it in. Okay, and I can really get it where I want to with the glue stick on it now. Rub it. It's going to stick pretty instantly. And then, like I said, I have a little bit of space there that I can go back later with the ink pen and fill it. So you don't need to watch me glue in all the collage, but what I really recommend is, you know, using small pieces so I can really see taking something like this and cutting these individual pieces and gluing them in so they're nice and small, or cutting pieces so that they fit, or you know, using parts of bigger pieces that get glued in. So think about what you might want to use for collage. Think about trying to use some personal fodder. Maybe you have a stash of magazines to go through that you can use, or maybe you have some old artwork that you can cut up and use. Those are 3 like really good suggestions for the types of fodder, the types of collage materials to use. So thank you for joining me once again. We're getting closer and closer. Maybe next time we'll start adding some words. Maybe. I haven't quite decided. As I work throughout this week, then I'll figure it out. So thank you for joining me for lesson 6. Next time, lesson number 7. Thank you. Happy creating.